Hello everyone. In this presentation I will be covering organization and structure of your speech. As I have mentioned earlier, for your persuasive speech you will need to use the Monroe Motivational sequence, so I'll be covering that in the first part of this presentation. But I will also be covering the use of transitions as well as the verbal citation of sources in your presentation as well. The Monroe Motivational sequence is made up of 5 sequences or 5 steps. The first is the attention, the second is the need, the third is the satisfaction, the fourth is the visualization, and the final one is the action step. The presentation that I'm sharing with you right now is based on the sample outline that I provided for you on Moodle and on Canvas using the Monroe Motivational sequence. So the first step here is the attention phase, and you can look through that, but I wanted to point out a couple of things to you here in the presentation. First of all, if you come up here to you see that the speaker begins talking about kind of setting up the problem, and then in the middle of the paragraph the speaker says, "or is it?" and there gives us the transition there, what we would call a signpost that he's moving from one thing to another thing. But if you look at the last sentence here, he has the claim that he's going to be making. I would do this a little differently. In this claim, he has used the words, or the person has used the words, I want to urge you to do this, to get off the couch and to get your body moving. I want to persuade you to start walking. I think an easier way of saying that would have been to say, I want to urge you to get off the couch and to start walking. So you don't have to use that word persuade, and it gives you one full sentence as well. So as we said earlier, the attention getter is really the introduction to your speech, and here again you can use visuals, you can use stories, you can use other things in order to bring your audience into the speech itself. The second phase is that of need, and you'll see in the very top paragraph of the on the Monroe motivated outline that I provided for you, and I think what the slide here does a very good job is he says this about the need. Americans lead a sedentary life at the expense of their health. And if you look through the section then, each one of those points that follows, and this is how the slide sets it up, you'll see that he cites the reasons and the evidence to support the claim that he's making. So Americans lead a sedentary life at the expense of their health. That's the claim that is being made, and then in each one of those stages then is the evidence. You'll see that he mentions the article, what it means that we spend approximately 40% of our leisure time in front of the television, and he gives the source of where that's from. But moving on down then, you see that where the person is going in their presentation. The next comes the satisfaction phase. And you'll see that the satisfaction stage begins with those words. Fortunately, there is a simple, effective exercise that we can call, that we can all do, and then gets into describing what the satisfaction stage is of the exercise itself. Once again, the speaker uses evidence and reasoning to support the claim that they are making. The reasoning ties the evidence to the claim itself. The third phase is that of visualization. And I'm not going to walk through all of these things for you. You can read them on your own. I just want to point out a few of the things that he does, or the speaker does, in this presentation. Notice the first sentence: we can visualize the benefits of walking by contrasting the lifestyle choices that we have. And again, he's using compare and contrast here as part of the visualization, as the visualization stage is being presented. And finally, then we get to the conclusion, where the speaker is making their closing appeal. In closing, I urge you to start walking, more. A simple, easy activity. Park at the back of the parking lots and walk. Don't drive to your local convenience store. Walk past the bus stop and let your 2 feet carry you across campus. Take 20 minutes and enjoy a walk around your neighborhood. Hide the TV remote, and again, a bunch of activities, basically things that has been mentioned previously. So the Monroe Motivational Sequence is a very good way and a very easy way of organizing your speech and giving a structure to your presentation as well. The other thing I wanted to mention today is organization, of dividing your presentation into main points and transitions. With the motivational sequence, you already have everything divided into your key points, being able to move from one point to another point. And so that's a very easy sequence to follow. The issue that we need to deal with a little more specifically here is not major points, but the use of transitions. And I think this graphic expresses the transition that you'll find. This is one out of the presentation that I gave you on Canvas. And in that presentation, you'll notice at the end of the need stage here, you have these words at the section. While modifying our diet can certainly help us to decrease our risk for heart disease, studies have indicated that people who don't exercise are at an even greater risk for heart disease. And then, of course, in the outline itself, it has the word satisfaction to show us that we're moving from this point to this point. It begins then the next phase with these words: that fortunately there is a simple, effective exercise that we can all do. So again, I think that's a good transition from one point to the other point, moving from your need stage to the satisfaction stage as we go forward. So again, I want to emphasize the use of good transitions to help your audience move from one point of your presentation to the next point of your presentation. The next thing I want to talk about are visual citations. These are citations that I pulled, well, I guess this is also off of the graph itself. You'll see on the left side, nutritionist Phyllis Hall, and then gives the quote. On the right side, the speaker does not do that, and what I would want you to do is to say something. For example, you would want to say something like, in addition, Carnazin says, while modifying our diet can certainly. So you'll see they include the author's name, because that's how we're going to find it in the reference list, and including those kinds of things in there. So verbal citations are very simple, straightforward ways of telling me or your listeners, the audience, exactly where you have your sources from. I hope that this has been helpful for you in piecing together some of the things, and after you've watched this, we will have an opportunity to chat and over any questions you may have over the presentation. Thank you very much.